There are lots of examples in the videos on multiplication and division showing that multiplying by fractions less than 1 makes smaller and dividing by fractions less than 1 makes bigger. However, according to NCTM's Principles and Standards of School Mathematics, school students feel the opposite is true. That is, that multiplication always makes bigger and division always makes smaller. One day, when teaching a class of undergraduates preparing to become elementary school teachers, I asked the class if multiplication always makes bigger, and then I asked them if division always makes smaller. I think you will find the responses from these students interesting. The biggest national organization for teachers, math teachers, and has a lot of good statements in it. You can see I use this pretty heavily. And there's one statement in here about the confusion over multiplying. Multiplying, students tend to think that always makes something bigger. How do you feel about that? Would you, in general, when you think about multiplying, does that convey things getting bigger? In terms of numbers? No strong feelings? Anyone have a feeling otherwise than that? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe things don't always get bigger when you multiply. Can someone give me an example of where something doesn't increase when you multiply? Fraction. Yeah, fraction means to take part of something, right? And decimals also if they're taking parts of something, and percents if they're taking parts of something. So there's 3 different types of symbols that all involve taking part of something. So if you had 18 and you took a third of 18, you wouldn't get something as big as 18. Now, this says that students across the country quite often are confused by why when you multiply fractions things get smaller. Do you know why they're confused by that? They don't realize that fractions involve taking parts of things. Isn't that unfortunate that we teach these kids fractions from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and they don't realize that multiplying by fractions is taking part of something. How about division when it comes to mathematics and working with numbers? Does that mean you make smaller? You all feel pretty certain about that, right? Never makes bigger, right? No one would say that it ever makes anything bigger, right? I would. Well, you would? Sure. Why?
We tried fractions.
Well, you might think that I planted this person in class and talked to her earlier, but now we have the overhead projector that will dazzle you. Yes, we know that 2/3 divided by 1/6 is what? You all see what that is? Jumps right out at you. How many times does the red bar fit into the yellow? See those lines riding up there? You can't miss it, right? One-sixth goes in there. Now, 2/3 is less than 1. 1/6 is less than 1, but you're dividing 2 small things, and you're getting something big, 4. Okay? And now look at this. If I divide 2/3 by 1/12, what do I get? How many times does that small part go in there? 8 times. If I were to make it even smaller, it would go in more times. So why do students, and maybe even some of you, think division always makes smaller? Because that was what we get drummed into us when it came to whole numbers. And when we get into fractions, it was all a mechanical thing. And as a matter of fact, when we get into decimals, it's a mechanical. With the exception of one student in this class of 18 college students preparing to become elementary school teachers, the students thought that multiplication always makes bigger and division always makes smaller. It was quite surprising that the misconceptions among school students involving multiplication and division are also common among some college students.